Hi, I'm Paul. So for this video I'm going to talk about awareness. This is a sort of awareness that a lot of people refer to as being consciousness. There is really a difference between consciousness and awareness, and perhaps we'll go through that. We're also probably going to talk about seeking as well, because this relates very closely, or it's actually much the opposite to awareness. So, awareness. Firstly, let's have a look at consciousness. So, the contents of consciousness is the same as consciousness itself, which is just like saying it's all one. So this pretty much includes everything. So then awareness would be to be aware of everything. So perhaps we could say, is awareness like insight? Well, let's have a look at sight. So sight would be to just observe. So then insight would be still just to observe, but observe inwards. So when I say observe, this would be observe without judgment, without making any descriptions or trying to hide away, cover up, or make something easier. So how does this relate to seeking then? You see, seeking to me would be to kind of seek outwards. So let's just say we want to observe something inside of us, anger, boredom, thoughts, whatever, and we don't really know how to observe, then we would perhaps go and read a book, look on Google, and try and find somebody else's suggestion of what anger is. So you see, this would be more seeking rather than insight. In other words, we're trying to grasp onto something, we're seeking for somebody else's knowledge. Perhaps this is like picking the fruit off a forbidden tree of knowledge. So we try and find somebody else who's going to be perhaps our saviour. We find another god, religion, science, psychology, spirituality, someone like me, another guru. So we're always seeking outwards, trying to find answers. But it seems that this seeking outwards is just coming from a different place. We're trying to, how can I say it? We're trying to absorb knowledge, making more memories in our heads. So then how would it be for insight? I suppose insight would be more like having a dream at night. So in a dream at night, you're kind of just observing the dream. You're just watching what happens in the dream. One thing I've noticed whilst dreaming is we don't seem to have a voice. We don't talk through the dream. We don't talk to people. But we just observe. So the dream is playing out and we're just watching it. And this would be like what insight is like. We tend to see more of a whole picture, and when we start putting thoughts into it, perhaps something that we've heard and learnt off somebody, it becomes fragmented and we only talk about parts of it and not see the whole picture. And perhaps this is why we do our seeking. Maybe it is that we just don't want to look inside. We want the easy option. Maybe if there was such thing as a pill, you could take that and that's it. No more suffering. That would be the easy option. But many of us seem to be addicted to this seeking outwards. So how is it that we came about seeking outwards? And it seems like an addiction. Perhaps it's control, security. Perhaps it's this insecurity that we need to have control, so we're always seeking outwards to be able to predict what might be coming. If we look at, let's say, toxic people, it seems that they're always seeking out. That seems to be what the problem is. They have a lack of awareness. They have a lack of insight. So therefore their inner world brings them pain and there's nothing they can do about it. So they try to control the outside world so it doesn't affect the inside world. So in some way it's as if we believe that this seeking will end the suffering. And yet sometimes it's just bringing the suffering. And then the only obvious answer to end the suffering is to have insight and to know exactly, instantly, what's going on. So, perhaps if you've been in a toxic relationship, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but usually when you meet somebody like this, they put you on a pedestal. So for the first initial, whatever period it is, they start filling you full of good thoughts, telling you nice things about yourself, bringing you up. And this gives you something to cling on to. It's like you become addicted to it and start seeking for more, just drifting you away from yourself. You see, at this point you have no awareness of yourself at all. You have no awareness of what's going on because you're so taken by, taken by the nice thoughts, I guess, of a distraction from everything else. The only trouble is when you meet somebody like this, it's only like a honeymoon period. But then what the toxic person tends to do, whether it's deliberate or not, I'm not sure, but then they would create a trauma. They would do something horrible that you really didn't expect, humiliate you, disappear, and give you the silent treatment. And for some reason this triggers something off inside of you. And all of a sudden you start getting obsessive thoughts. It's like your mind goes crazy. Everything seems so brilliant just before, and I was so inflated with all these nice ideas about myself and somebody seeing me and so on. I essentially picked the fruit off a forbidden tree of knowledge. I worship to God who was going to give me the best life, like worshipping gurus and the idea of spirituality and religion. I clung on to an idea hoping it was going to perhaps control my future for me. I don't know. But I suppose you did pick the fruit of the forbidden tree of knowledge, which was seeking outwards, seeking for more, seeking knowledge, seeking happiness external. But yet none of this seems to have anything to do with awareness. You see, the only fruit that you should be picking, or the only God that you should worship, is yourself. And when I say yourself, it's not an idea of yourself. Say it's your internal world, just to observe exactly what's going on. And like I say, to observe exactly what's going on, you don't need knowledge. You don't need to know how things are supposed to work or should work. You should just be able to watch exactly what's going on. You look into how your thoughts work and you see how they arise. You see the things that seem to trigger them off, and then you start to see the tensions of what arose which triggers you off. See, a lot of the time, the awareness or seeking inwards, a lot of the time you're just trying to find tensions in the body or reactions. Because let's just say I feel anxiety. It seems what happens at first in this occasion is I get a tightness in the chest, a discomfort in the chest. Perhaps I get a little bit shaky. It's only when the mind notices that it starts applying stories to it. Usually they're quite negative about doubt, or the fact you're incapable, or you're weak, or humiliating, or whatever else. So then if we wanted to do a bit of insight on this, if we looked at the story of doubt, and the only way we could fix that is by applying a new story. But this isn't really true insight. Insight's more of like just an acceptance, not to add anything to it or make it sound better, run away from it, distract. It's just to be fully present, observe exactly what's going on, and allow it. See, it seems it's only then really that it starts to subside. You don't really need to do anything with it. The trouble is when we start thinking of things, we start thinking of doubt, it just continues. It just goes from one to another and another, and then we make the situation worse and worse and worse. Anyway, I think I've got nothing else to say, so thanks so much for listening.